Good morning, guys. So today is going to be a little different. Instead of an adoration, I had a pretty cool revelation, I think. My hair is fuzzy, so don't mind it. So today I was in 107 of Psalms, and it says, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he has redeemed from trouble and gathered in from the lands, from the east and from the west, from the north and from the south. Some wandered in desert wastes, finding no city to dwell in. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted within them. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He led them by a straight way till they reached a city to dwell in. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of man, for he satisfies the longing soul, and the hungry soul fills with good things. Some sat in darkness, in the shadow of death, prisoners in affliction and in irons, for they had rebelled against the words of the Lord and spurned the counsel of the Most High. So he bowed their hearts down with hard labor. They fell down with none to help. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and burst apart their bonds. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of man. For he shatters the doors of bronze and cuts in two the bars of iron. Some were fools through their sinful ways, and because of their iniquities suffered affliction. They loathed any kind of food, and they drew near to the gates of death. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He sent out his word, and he healed them, delivered them from their destruction. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of man. Let them offer sacrifices of thanksgiving, and tell of his deed in songs of joy. Some went down in the ship in seas." I said that wrong. "Some went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the great waters. They saw the deeds of the Lord, his wondrous works in the deep. For he commanded and raised the stormy wind, for which lifted up the waves of the sea. They mounted up in heaven, they went down to the depths. Their courage melted away in their evil plight. They reeled and staggered like drunken men. They were at their wits' end. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He made the storm be still, and the waves of the sea were hushed. Then they were glad that the waters were quiet, and he brought them to their desired haven. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of man. Let them extol him in the congregation of the people, and praise him in the assembly of the elders. He turns rivers into a desert, springs of water into thirsty ground, a fruitful land into a salty waste, because of the evil of its inhabitants. He turns a desert into pools of water, a parched land into springs of water. And there he lets the hungry dwell, and they establish a city to live in. They sow fields and plant vineyards, and get a fruitful yield. By his blessings they multiply greatly, and he does not let their livestock diminish. When they are diminished and brought low through oppression, evil, and sorrow, he pours contempt on princes and makes them wander in trackless wastes. But he raises up the needy out of affliction, and makes their families like flocks. The upright see it and are glad, and all wickedness shuts its mouth. Whoever is wise, let him attend to these things. Let him consider the steadfast love of the Lord." So today my question was, what does it mean to consider the steadfast love of the Lord? And I stuck on the word consider, looking at it in the Hebrew, which is bin. It means to think, to give thought, to discern, to understand, to perceive. So if we were to change if we were to change the word here, instead of consider, to understand, to discern, to know the steadfast love of God. So then I looked at it and I said, whoever is wise. So wisdom, being wise, means that we attend to these things. Well, what does it mean to attend? That word in the Hebrew means to keep, to guard, to observe. So you will observe these things, you will consider, you will know the steadfast love of the Lord. So then I looked back over each of the different stanzas, because remember, Psalms are songs. So I looked back over each one, and each section started with something negative. Their sinful ways, being fools, their evil plots and plights in the waters when they're selling things, using the waters, the hungry, the thirsty, the ones sitting in darkness. I see this parallel, this repeated pattern of a negative thing, a sinful thing, God allowing hardship, allowing trial in our lives. Why? So that then they cried to the Lord in their trouble. That line is repeated 6 times. Then they cried out to the Lord. So each time it repeats, they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. Each time God allows hardship in our lives. Why? Because it is meant to point us back to the one whom we need. It is meant to point us in that direction. Does it always do that? Unfortunately, sometimes pride, sometimes the pain, sometimes lies from the enemy keep us from actually engaging with crying out to God, where our refuge and where our safety comes from. When we look at this, we see that he delivers them. He brought them out of the darkness. He led them by a straight way. He sent out his word and healed them. He made the storm still. We see time and time again him meeting the needs they have exactly where they are. Not that they started doing everything that was right. Not that they, completely changed their ways and were following the laws of the Lord. No, all they had to do was cry out. All they had to do was let their heart know and let their heart lead them to God. Not their fleshly, hardened hearts, but that part of our heart that longs for God. They knew deep within them somewhere, even in their wickedness, even in their sin, that the only person who could solve their problems was God. And at the end, when they got to the bottom of the barrel, to the deepest of the pit, that's when their hearts cried out and said, I need God. I can't do this without him. And every time they cried out, God met them. And what should be their response for God meeting them? Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, which means everything in the stanza above happened out of God's steadfast love. That's right. Even the negative thing, even the hardship. And so that was my revelation today, was even our hardships, regardless of what they are, regardless of how painful or how hard they are, they're also a part of God's steadfast love. Why? Because they're used, they're not worthless, they're not purposeless, they're not just a meaningless pain to be in pain. God is not an uncaring or an unloving God. He has steadfast love for us. He works wondrous deeds for the children of man. Again, that is repeated over and over again, 6 times. He loves us. And even the hardships he uses to turn our hearts back to where they need to be, because he knows without him, we are lost. So I hope today I was feeling really crummy, and this is the truth my heart needed. I needed to know that even the hardships, even the things that are unexplainable, the things that are hard to wrestle with God being good and these things existing, that even those he does not let go to waste, his purpose. And even though they're not his perfect plan, he doesn't long to see us suffer. If it is what will make our hearts cry out to him, he is willing to let us endure so that he can help us realize exactly what we need. I hope that brings encouragement to you today. Good morning, guys. So